One of the simplest and cheapest ways to make a flavor bomb. I'm obviously not the first person to cure egg yolks, but I wanted to use these in a Wagyu video that I'm making, so I figured I would film this and make it into its own video while I was at it. Cured egg yolks are easy and cheap, but what they are not is fast. Using these requires some planning, and you need at least a week in advance before you're able to access these. But once you do the work, the reward you get is beautiful. You can put these on literally anything. So without wasting any time, I'll show you what I did. I grabbed a medium mixing bowl and I'm adding equal parts each by weight of regular old kosher salt and regular old sugar. I think I added about 200 grams of each, and I'm just whisking it all together until everything's evenly distributed. Then I grabbed a small baking tray and I'm just dumping half of my salt sugar mixture across the bottom to make a bottom layer. Then using one of the whole eggs, I'm just going to make some indents where I'm going to add the yolks afterwards. Just be sure not to go all the way to the tray at the bottom to leave a layer of the salt and sugar, because if not, the bottom of your egg yolk is not going to be cured properly. And speaking of eggs, I suggest investing in the higher quality eggs like the cage-free brown eggs, because the only thing that's coming out of this is an egg yolk, and you want that to be higher quality and taste better. Then we begin the process of separating the yolks from the whites. I'm using a separate bowl to dump each egg white into before putting it into my final container where I'll store the egg whites. That way, in case one of the yolks breaks, I'm not going to screw up my whole batch of egg whites, which I'm saving these to make a buttercream, and you don't want any yolk in that. But anyway, I'm using my hands to separate the yolks. To me, that's the most efficient method. Just be careful not to break them, and then once you get all the white out of it, you can just dump it into those pre-portioned holes that we made. Then we use the rest of the salt sugar mixture to cover the tops of our egg yolks. If you run out of mixture, you can always make more. And that's it for now. All you do from here is place the whole thing uncovered in the fridge for 5 to 7 days. I came back 7 days later, so all we have to do now is clean these off so we can store them. Just try to carefully break off most of the excess salt and sugar. The egg yolk is still going to be a little wet and a little pliable, so it is breakable, so just be careful with it. To remove the rest of it, we're just going to run it under cold water for a few seconds. That should dissolve any excess salt and sugar that's left on the yolk surface. Then I just put mine on some paper towels and patted them dry as best as I could before putting them on a wire rack on a baking sheet so we can dehydrate them. Some people would use a dehydrator for this, but I don't have one of those, so I'm just using my oven at the lowest setting, which is 170 degrees Fahrenheit for me. I left mine in for about 2 hours, but they might be good to go after an hour or so. Just once they're pretty dry on the surface and they feel like they're hardened up well, you should be good to go. I just let them come down to room temperature for like 15 minutes. And then I'm going to put them in an airtight container in the fridge, and that's where we can store them until we need them. The best way to utilize these, in my opinion, is with one of these microplanes, which I'll link in the description. You could use the fine side of a cheese grater as well, but the microplane is just much easier to me. You can use these to garnish whatever you want. It's just a savory and umami flavor note, so it'll go with a lot of different things. Some ideas are things like salads or pastas or something like fried rice, or you could literally grate it over some fried eggs, which is kind of like Inception, but it would still taste good. I'm using it as a garnish on my crispy rice Wagyu squares, which I'm making a video on, and it will be the next video that I upload. I had never done this because I never put the forethought in to be ready 7 days in advance from when I needed these, but I'm so glad that I finally did it. So if you've been thinking about doing it, then this is your sign to make it happen. But that's all I wanted to share in this video. Stay tuned for the Wagyu rice squares. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.